everybody, welcome to my Zen Den. Happy Friday night. I have a really funny story to tell you. I actually got done just playing a really fun game. My husband loves black jelly beans, and I think they are the most disgusting things in the world. I can't stand the smell of them. Blech, gross. My husband also does not like to bend over to find things. His biggest pet peeve of mine is my lid drawer for my Tupperware. So the other night he came home from Dollar General and he had 2 bags of black jelly beans, and I confiscated the 2 unopened black bags of black jelly beans, and I put them in the middle of the lid drawer, kind of buried underneath some stuff. And so tonight he was going over to the neighbor's house, and he's going to work on, I hate black jelly beans too. I don't know how they can be candy. Blech. Anyhow, he was going over to the neighbor's house to work on something. I don't know what. And he's looking high and low. Actually, he's looking high for the black jelly beans. And I just sat back in the chair in the living room, and I just watched him look for the black jelly beans. He did not find them because he doesn't look low. He looks high and eye level. I love that guy. He cracks me up. So when I get done here, I'm going to have to run over a bag of black jelly beans to the neighbor's house so that Paul can eat his black jelly beans. So that's my funny story. I had a great time watching him look for the black jelly beans. So tonight we'll get ready for stamping here. Tonight I'm going to be stamping with a bundle called Dragonfly Garden, and it's on page 27 of the spring catalog, the January to June 21 mini catalog. It's a fun set, and it's a fun set because it has a punch, and I love punches. It also has some designer series paper that goes with it. It has dragonflies, and it's just kind of a simple set. It's not too complicated. And so, of course, that's one that I love to play with, is a more simple set. So let's get stamping. I'm going to flip our camera around here, and we'll get started. I'll show you the designer series paper that's part of the bundle. And we'll go through a couple things like that, and then we'll get stamping. Hi, Joyce. You like black jelly beans too? I know some people really like them. I think I have one kid that likes them, and Paul, and they just go nuts over them, and I just don't. But it is what it is. I will deliver the black jelly beans to Paul. Honestly, if he's watching the live, he could come and get them himself, because now I've told him where they are. So, all right, let's flip you around here. Bear with me. All right. Okay. Marla, you like black jelly beans too. It's okay. I like the spiced jelly beans, the ones that are like minty and cinnamony and stuff like that. Those were always the ones that I like. Hi, Jasmine. It's good to see you. All right. So, let's get the catalog out here. So this is the January to June 21 mini catalog, and the stamp set that I'm going to be using is this bundle right here. It's the Dragonfly Garden. So it's the stamp set, and then it's also a punch. So here's the stamp set. It's got some really cute sayings on it. I like the fonts in there. You are an inspiration for a true friend. May good things grow all year long, and thank you for your kindness. It's a it's a red rubber stamp set. And then the punch, is this right here. So the punch punches out the dragonflies, and also the punch punches out on the designer series paper. This is the designer series paper. So it's 6x6. So that's one side, and then on the other side, it's different. So the punch also punches out these, it's the right size to punch out these dragonflies. And at first I didn't really like the designer series paper, mostly because probably of that piece right there. Dandelions are my nemesis. But I have learned to love it. I love the colors that are in it. So Blackberry Bliss, Mossy Meadow, those are two of my favorite, and Calypso Coral. They're some of my favorite colors. So so I'm going to show you a couple cards tonight using the punch and the designer series paper, and another one that's a little different. So not using the punch, just using the stamp set. So let's get started here. First, we're going to do with the punch and with the paper. So this is the card that we're going to do. It's got a little Calypso Coral, a piece of the designer series paper, and then some Calypso Coral ink and some Blackberry Bliss ink. So let's get started with that. I am going to pull in a piece of Calypso Coral cardstock. Give that a good burnish to make sure it's folded nice. And I have everything cut already. So this is a 3x4 piece of designer series paper. Let's see here. What do we want to do? I am first going to do some stamping. So my first stamping I'm going to do is the sentiment, and I'm going to do thank you for your kindness. I'm going to use the Pick a Banner punch. And on this one, most of the time I'm going to tell you that we stamp first and then punch. In this case, with this punch only, I like to punch first and then stamp. Reason being, that way I can see, I need a long tail to use this punch, but that way I can see where my stamp should go in relation to my little flag. So I'm going to stamp that with some Blackberry Bliss, one of my favoriteest colors in the whole wide world. I'm going to stamp it right about there. Actually, I'm going to, there's two sides to this paper. I'm going to move that over just a little bit. I want it to have a little bit of a blank space there. So I'm going to actually move it to right there. There, I like that better. And now while I've got my Blackberry Bliss out, I'm going to show you how I stamp my dragonflies like that. And you guys, this is such a fun trick. It's so cool. So I'm just going to, there. So there's my sentiment, and I'm going to set that aside. Okay, so the stamp set comes with two different dragonflies. I'm going to use the one that's got a dark center in it, just because I want to be able to pull the ink out. And what I'm going to use to make my dragonflies colored is a Wink of Stella. If you look really close, I don't know if you can see the sparkles on there, but I'm going to show you a really cool trick with the Wink of Stella. It's so much fun. I love it. So I'm going to, and I'm only going to stamp one dragonfly at a time. And the reason why is because I want that ink to stay just a little bit wet. I don't want it to dry on me, because I'm going to take my Wink of Stella. I think this Wink of Stella has been thrown around a few times. Give it a little shake, and if I color it, if I just pull out from the middle, it turns purple. And this does not mean that now my Wink of Stella blending brush here, it does not mean that it's a purple brush. I will show you how I get this back to clear when we're done. This technique works really well on the darker colors. The Blackberry Bliss, I've done it with Night of Navy. Not that the inks don't dry fast. I don't know what it is about those bold colors. I've done it with lighter colors too, but it doesn't pull as much as the dark colors do. But all right, so there's that one, and I'm going to do a second one. So stamp it again. And I'm going to go over here just because I don't want to, sometimes the punches are a little goofy. Okay, so that's a nice dragonfly. I'm going to take my Wink of Stella. And Wink of Stella is just a fun product. It's one of those things that I just like to play with. I like to add just a little sparkle. Leave a little sparkle wherever you go, right? It's just a neat tool. And it does add just the right amount of sparkle. And it's hard to see maybe on the video, but there is just a faint little bit. But I love the way that it blends out the wings. It just makes them look like a nice soft purple, kind of a watercolored purple. So, all right. So now I said it's really not purple. What I do is I just, see, it's clear. It did not wreck the brush. The brush is just fine. So Wink of Stella, a very inexpensive, I think maybe $6 or $7. One of the coolest things that's in the catalog. I love it. All right, now I will cover this up because nothing good happens when you leave your ink pads open. And I'm going to punch out my Dragonfly. So line it up in there, give it a punch. Now this punch does have two. I'm not going to use these little ones. You could set it up so you make sure your strip of paper is only so wide and you wouldn't be wasting. I just did not do that this time. So I'm going to punch out my other one here. Like so. All right. Set those aside. All right. So now we're ready pretty much to assemble our card. I'm going to do one more little something just to add a little bit. I didn't like it just plain in the background. So I've got this cute little, I don't know, are those little dragonflies, little flies? I'm not sure. I'm going to stamp a few of them in the corner just because it adds a little interest up there. So I like how that looks. And this is, again, Calypso Coral paper and Calypso Coral ink. So they're pretty subtle, the little bugs on there. So this also is part of the suite. It is Mossy Meadow braided linen trim. It's exactly like the linen trim, the other linen trim. It's, the same shape and everything. This one is just the natural color. This one here is dyed Mossy Meadow. Either one of them would work fine. I just like the green with the rest of my bold colors on this project. So I'm just going to tie a simple bow. And if you notice how I tie my bows, I like to leave my string attached to the spool, and then I'll cut off the tail. And that seems to be, to me, that's the best way I've found to conserve ribbon. There are other ways. There's everybody's got their own techniques for that. This is just my way. It's the simplest, and I tend to be, I don't want to say a lazy crafter, but I definitely look for simplicity where I can find it. So we're just gonna snip that little bad boy off. All right. And if I want to trim it a little more later, I will. So we're gonna attach that down. And the reason I'm doing that is just to hold my linen trim in place, because once I put it down now, the trim won't be able to go up and down. All right. So something like that. So since I did that, now my trim won't be able to move. It's going to be kind of stuck there, which is what I was going for. So, all right, let's grab some dimensionals. I'm going to put down our sentiment. And I'm going to line that up with the edge of the designer series paper, the pattern paper. And there's that. And then I'm also going to put some dimensionals on the back of my dragonflies. So I'm going to put one probably right about there, and maybe one up over here. Maybe something like that. I covered up my flag at the end of my thing, but that's okay. And one more dragonfly. And if you wanted to put those other little dragonflies on, you could absolutely do that. I don't want them to look like they're kissing. How about, I see what I did. I turned the other one the other way. Let's go like that. I like that. We're gonna move it over here though. There. All right, so that is card number 1, and that's using the designer series paper and the colors from the suite itself. So I think that's a cute card. I like it. I like the bold colors. All right, moving on. This is a version of the card that I'm going to make next. I'm going to change it up just a little bit because I wasn't a big fan of how the sentiment turned out on this one. But you got to start somewhere to come up with your ideas. So I actually am casing this idea from Dina Rico and the Creativity Cave. But this I'm doing in some different colors and actually with a different stamp set. So let's get started on this one. What I am going to do is I'm using crumb cake cardstock. So I'm going to fold and burnish this, and I'm doing something the way that I like to do things, and this is not necessarily the right way, but it's the way I like to do it. I'm going to add this background here. You can see it's kind of crinkly. I'm going to use the, I think it's the Old World paper embossing folder. I like the way that looks. I struggle embossing the actual card itself. I have troubles doing that. It's not easy. It's not an easy thing for me to do. So what I like to do instead is take a whole another entire piece of paper, and I'm going to make it the same color and put it right on top. That's my choice. If you if you're really able to do that, go ahead and knock yourself out. So let's do some stamping first. I'm going to take it on a piece of white, and I don't remember my dimensions of this. Pull out my handy dandy ruler. It is 4.5 by 3 1/4, which means this piece that I'm matting it with would be, I can't even remember the numbers I just said, 3.5 by 4 3/4. So it's going to have that nice 1/4 inch that goes around it. So I'm going to take my crumb cake ink pad, and I'm going to take the big flower punch, and I think this is what is this, echinacea? Is that what that's called? I love those flowers. I think they're so pretty. Some of them, I love wildflowers. I have a pollinator garden that I like down by my, I've got a vegetable garden, and then I've got a pollinator garden off to the side, and I've got some echinacea in there. I just love it. It makes me happy. I'm going to put that right about in there. Stamp it down. All right, so that's pretty. But we're going to step it up just a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a Thinlit die. If you have a punch, use a punch. Do whatever you want to do. That's absolutely what you should do. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually move my sentiment off to the side a little bit, just because like I said, I didn't like how it cut the words on the other one. So I'm actually going to do that right now because I can see where I'm going to put that. Okay, so I am going to stamp that right about there. Oh, okay. So that's the extent of my stamping itself. I'm going to pull in my Big Shot, and I'm going to show you how and my Big Shot is an old Big Shot. It's not a Stampin' Up! One. It's one I had before I was a demonstrator, but it still is working, so I still keep on using it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my circle where I would like it, and I think right about in there. Make my sandwich and go on through. And I'm not using my little mini tonight. because my piece of paper that I'm using is too big, and because the embossing folder that I'm using is a 6-inch embossing folder, so it's obviously too big for my little 3-inch platform. Otherwise, I would use my mini for purposes of the demo. That's not the piece I want. I want the big piece. Okay, so I'm going to put this inside my embossing folder, and then run it through. I do think my Big Shot might be on its last leg. It's been around a long time. All right, and so isn't that pretty? I love that. I love embossing folders. They add a lot of texture to our projects. All right, so here we go. I have my little circle. I'm going to take my blending brushes, and I'm going to take the colors Mint Macaron and Flirty Flamingo, and I'm going to color my little circle. And this is just, and you could do it with one color. You could color the actual flowers with blends if you wanted to. Lots of different options for this. So I'm just going to come in off the paper a little bit, make it nice and smooth. I don't know if you guys saw the advertisement for March's Paper Pumpkin. In March, they always do a little something extra because it's Paper Pumpkin's birthday. I believe it's their 7th birthday this year, and they're putting stencils in. So I'm so excited because the blending brushes work so good with the stencils. So I would advise, they're going to give you a sponge also, and the sponges are nice, but the blending brushes are just the coolest things ever. So I'm just gonna rub a little bit of color. All right, and I think that that's good. There's no right way, there's no wrong way. I just thought that those two colors looked nice with the crumb cake. So let's go ahead and assemble our card. So first I'm going to put on my piece of embossed paper. And I don't know which is the right way. I like the bumps up, but the bumps down would absolutely look good too. But I'm going to put the bumps up. It's kind of fun how crafting is all up to your interpretation and what you interpret it as. There's no right way, there's no wrong way. It's just your way. It's like you're the queen of your own little destiny. All right, so there's that attached down. So now I'm going to take my piece of white that we stamped on, and I'm going to attach it down to the other piece of crumb cake. And I just want to make sure that around the edges stick. I'm probably adding a little bit more adhesive than I need, but I just would rather be safe than sorry. And so I'm going to eyeball that about 1/8 of an inch all the way around. All right, and then I'm going to take some dimensionals, and that is going to pop up. Isn't that cool? Oh, I love it. I just love it. All right, I got 3. 3 should be enough. All right. The only trick is to line up, I'm going to go the other direction, line up the flower stems so that you get them in the right spot. All right. Because otherwise your flowers are going to be wonky, and we don't want that. All right. Oh, I think that's just so neat. I like that better than I like this better than the shaped one. But I think the other one, the shaped one, I just didn't like where the sentiment went. So remember how I told you I like to tie my my bows while it's still on the ribbon? I got a little happy when I was prepping for my card here, so I cut the ribbon off already. We'll see how this goes. It could kick my butt. Yep, I cut it too short, and this is why I don't cut before. So, but don't worry, there's always a way. And I'll show you the way. It's just going to be a knot. All right, so now I'm just going to trim off my excess. These are paper scissors. They are not fabric scissors. I do have a pair of fabric scissors down here, but I'm afraid of tempting my family because they will grab my snips once in a while, but don't touch Mama's fabric scissors. Bad things could happen. All right. Wow, this knot is just not working with me. There we go. All right, just play with it a little bit until it goes to where you would like it to go. So there, I like that. All right, so same deal. We're going to attach this down with the bumpy embossing folder. You might need a little bit more adhesive just because this is a pretty aggressive embossing folder. But, or you could use dimensionals and pop that up too. Either way. All right, there we go. Oh, so now you need to tell me, which one do you like better? Do you like just the plain circle, or did you like the stitch shape? Maybe if I would have done the stitch shape and done the sentiment there. I'm not sure. So anyhow, like I said, there's no mistakes in crafting, and you can absolutely use any shape you want to. Big stamps work well with this technique. It's kind of a fun technique. So there's our cards for tonight. I just like how they turned out. This is a fun suite. There's a lot going on with this suite. And actually there's another, I'm calling it a suite. This is actually a bundle. There is a suite that goes that you could get that has another stamp set, but we will. So I will show you that in just a second here. You like the plain circle too, Pam? You like the circle too, Joyce? Yeah, I do too. I just think that it worked out a lot better. So I hope you guys have a great weekend. There's a lot going on this weekend in the area. It's going to be nice. My boys are out fishing. Paul is going to go out fishing this weekend. Race on Trace is this weekend. So it's going to be great weather. It's going to be lots going on. So have a good one. Get some crafting in, and we will see you next week. Thanks. Bye.